Hey road trippers, today we're in the car because I want to talk about an expert Uber tip for an Uber driver. This is mostly going to be for people in Chicago, and this may be problems in other metropolitan areas, but I do know it's a problem in Chicago. And we're talking about navigating in Chicago and the problem we have with alleys. I would say 70 to 80% of the residential addresses you're given to pick up at or to drop off at put you in an alleyway. Why would it do that? I don't know why it does it. I don't know if it's Google Maps or it's the interface between Google Maps and Uber app. I don't know, but it just does it. Now, I'm going to give you just a piece of advice. Don't go into the alley. Don't pick up in the alley. Don't drop off in an alley. How would you think a 23-year-old girl, which is about the right age, we get anywhere from 16-year-old girls, boys, all the way up to, 40s, 50s, how would you feel to be dropped off in an alley? Granted, it may be your house, it may not be your house, but you don't drop off in an alley. It could be unsafe for them, it could be unsafe for you, and it's just a bad idea in general. Now, if you are given an address of 123 any street and it puts you in an alley, maybe you should go to any street, the street name, and go to that address instead of the alley behind it. But then you have this problem with one-way streets. It is craziness in Chicago and most metropolitan areas, I'm sure. You have to do a little bit of advance notice work, before you get there, whether you have a rider or not a rider. What I like to do when I'm going to go pick up is I pull off to the side to a safe spot, and I, just off to the shoulder or off into a little parking area or something, put my four-ways on, zoom in really quick on the map, and then I look and see if there's one-ways to worry about. And if there are, I pretend like it's a little maze and I'm a little mouse and I have to get to the right spot. And there's my place I got to be. Okay. And as long as it's not an alley, you're in good shape. And let's say you have someone in the car, okay, and it's taking you down an alley, and you can say, hey, you know what? This is taking me down an alley. And they'll be like, oh, no, please don't take me down there. And they will 99% of the time tell you exactly how to get to their house. If it's not their house, then, well, you've got to figure it out. And what I do when I have someone in the car, as I say, I will get to a stop sign or a stoplight that I know I'm going to sit at for a bit. And then I will zoom in and do the exact same thing. But you have got to keep an eye on traffic. Don't sit there and focus on your phone. That's less important than traffic. You want to make sure you're not clogging traffic up. You want to make sure if the light goes green that you go safely. But, do what you can. Even if you have to pull off to the side of the road and say, just a minute, I want to make sure I get you there in the right way, in a fast way. I'm just going to look really quick at the location. You zoom in, you see where all the one-ways are. You do the same thing. It's a maze, blah, blah, blah. Half the time when you do that, they will actually tell you how to get to their place if they know. If they don't know, well, then that's your job, is to find out how to get there. Now, let's talk a little bit about Midway and O'Hare doing those airports. First of all, I want to talk about Midway. I don't mind taking people to Midway, that's fine. What I don't like about waiting at Midway staging is that you'll get called by anything. I mean, I've been called to go 2 blocks from the staging area to go pick someone up. And then you go like 7 blocks or 8 blocks, but then you lost your spot in line. Now, I have also picked somebody up and I've taken them all the way downtown, and I've done a pool where I picked someone up near the airport, then I picked someone up at the airport, and the pool lasted like about 2 hours. Well, maybe not that, about an hour and a half. So anyway, you can do different things. But I'm starting to get to the point to where I'm getting a little annoyed at these little short runs that I waited 20, 30 minutes for. So I actually kind of bypass on those. But I also don't like doing that because I like to have a high acceptance rate. And I also, I don't like turning down money. Oh, and another thing about Midway. What I've noticed probably 90 to 100% of the time when someone says, let's go to Midway on the app, it wants to put you right there in the middle of the runways. And I always make a joke with the guest about that, because what Waze will mostly do is it'll send you down 55 to Central Avenue, and that's a mile past where you actually want to go, because you want to go at Cicero. So anyway, just check and make sure that when you're going to Midway, that you're going to the right place. You get off at Cicero unless there's some really nasty traffic, which it happens on Cicero. And when you're going to O'Hare, make sure you're going to the airport and not O'Hare, Illinois. And I've had this happen twice, which out of a lot of runs, that's not so bad. But I've had it happen twice, where someone in the burbs are like, I'm going to O'Hare. They have it in there as O'Hare. There's actually an O'Hare, Illinois. you want to make sure they type in ORD for the address. I mean, you probably know how to get to the airport. That's no big deal. Really, if you know how and you know where you're going, whatever, just go there. Now, if you're using Waze or something to get you to the right place to get around traffic, you want to make sure that you use ORD to get there, because if you're using O'Hare, you're going to end up in the wrong spot. And if they're running late for a plane in the first place, well, they should have called you earlier. But if you make them even later or miss their plane, that's not so good. And the biggest thing is never, ever, ever drop or pick up in an alley for everybody's safety. Well, I hope you liked this video and you got something out of it. If you want to become an Uber driver wherever you're at, use my code UberTravelMan68, and that would be fantastic because you'll get a little bonus and I'll get a little bonus. Everything will be great. If you'd like to see more content like this on my channel, and I got a lot of stuff about travel and all kinds of good stuff, so go ahead and hit subscribe on there. Leave a comment. In fact, if you're a driver in another city and you have this alley problem, I would really like to know if you do, and leave a comment below and tell me about that. Or if you have a tip for your city, or another tip for Midway, or another tip for anything in navigating in Chicago or any city, leave a comment below. It would be fantastic. Like the video, share the video, and until next time, safe travels. Plane.